Hey there everyone, SQ here. Today we're going to be talking about my kind of initial impressions, I suppose, of the Guilty Gear Strive Season 2 patch that we got. The patch has been out for about a week at this point, so I wanted to kind of just, give you my thoughts on what I think about this patch, what I think about the system changes, the character changes, who do I think got better, who do I think got worse, just give you guys my takes on that type of thing. So right off the bat, if I had to kind of summarize my impressions on this patch, I would say that the game got a little crazier and the power level of the game went up as a whole. Generally speaking, they didn't really nerf that many characters. Even characters that were top tier previously, they either kind of just stayed the same or they made them better. And the lower tier characters got a lot better in many different cases. Characters like Faust, characters like Viking, they got way better than they were last patch. And in general, the system changes I think were mostly pretty good, and they just kind of make the game crazier than they were before, right? There's more situations that you can form with your character with the system changes and with the character changes, and things are just overall wilder than they were before, for better or worse, right? I think that there are some pros and cons to this. I think in general the game is more fun now, if I had to just kind of say that. Like, the game is more fun to play, but I think I do have some concerns with how they did things, and my concerns could be summarized as I'm not really bothered by what they changed, I'm bothered by what they didn't change, right? When it comes to the things that I'm kind of disappointed with this patch, it's more so the lack of things that were changed, right? There were a lot of things, whether they're characters or system mechanics, that I was hoping they would adjust. I was hoping things like YRC would be adjusted. I was hoping Guard Crush would be adjusted. There are certain characters I was kind of hoping some of their tools would be adjusted differently, and they just weren't touched. They didn't touch them at all, right? As far as the things that were actually changed, I'm pretty cool with most of the things that they actually touched, right? I think the way that they adjusted most of the characters was pretty good. A lot of the characters have way more options than they did previously, and I think that was the point of this patch. Honestly, I don't think this patch is really trying to be a balanced patch per se. I think it just wanted to make all the characters have more things they can do, and they wanted the game to be more fun to play, right? And I think they accomplished that. When it comes to the system mechanics, the main one that I actually really enjoy, the counter hit change to P and K normals, right? Being able to get more conversions and just different conversions off your P and K normals, I think is very fun. And it, obviously kind of benefits some characters more than others. Like, for me, I think Ram benefits off of it amazingly. Super, super good for him. Maybe some other characters, they don't get quite as much, but I feel like it just makes the game feel like there's more things you can do now. So I really like that. I also like how they changed air normals. Now whenever you get like an air-to-air with like a JP or a JK, it's way easier to get like a full conversion off of that. I think that's very fun. It's gonna take people a little bit of time before they actually start utilizing that, but I think in general those two changes make the game just feel more complete. It makes things flow better, I think. In terms of the change that kind of concerns me the most, it'd probably be the change to fast Roman cancels, because I don't really get what the point behind it was. So now whenever you do a fast Roman cancel, you will essentially save some of the meter that you spend. You do have to have the 50 still to do the Roman cancel, but if you do a fast Roman cancel and cancel into like a normal or a special move quickly enough, you'll save some of the meter. You'll usually save about like 20 or 25% of that meter. I guess the whole idea here was just give characters more ways to use meter and let them save meter. That way you can do metered options more often. The thing is though, in Strive, having meter is crazy strong. You get to do so many very, very strong things when you have meter. Whether it's just access to a reversal super or doing, neutral skips with stuff like Ram 214H into RC to force your turn. Mix-ups you can do, combo conversions you can do. Like, just having meter is so good in this game that giving us access to it more often is not like yeah, it's kind of fun, right, in a vacuum, but I feel like in practice it makes the game feel even more explosive and volatile than it did previously, especially considering, going back to, my concern being things that they didn't change, they didn't adjust damage at all in this game. Damage is still very high, and what this patch did is they kind of made it to where there's more situations that you can actually get damage from. So that doesn't really go that well with the fact that damage is still as high as it is for me personally. There's also kind of this talk of these positive bonus block string infinites that people are talking about. Because of the fast Roman cancel change, there are many characters that have pseudo block string infinites. They're not really block string infinites. There's sometimes like a couple of things you might be able to do to get out of them. Overall, they're basically block strings that are very, very hard to answer or not answerable. They often have like mix-ups layered in them. They drain your FD if you're trying to FD the opponent away. They crank up your risk gauge. They do a lot of chip damage because they usually involve special moves. And, you know, some people think like, oh, they're not actually going to be that relevant to the game. So far in my playtime just with Ram, because Ram has one of these block strings, it's coming up quite often for me, and I don't think it's very fun to deal with, right? It just feels kind of like you're getting win conditioned a lot of the time. You know, your opponent breaks the wall with a super, they start running a block string on you, and you just don't really get to make a decision for the rest of the round a lot of the time. So I'm not really a fan of those. I hope that they at some point get kind of removed, or they just look at positive bonus in general. Otherwise though, I think all the other system changes are pretty good for the game. I think they're fun, and I think most of the character changes are pretty fun. Again, I'm just kind of bothered by maybe the lack of changes on certain moves or certain mechanics. So that out of the way, we can talk about the characters themselves, right? Who do I think got better? Who do I think got worse? Who do I think is going to be maybe the top tier of this version? You know, just to give you guys my early take on how I'm viewing things. So overall, this patch, again, just kind of buffed everybody for the most part. There's a couple characters that got worse, but in general, there aren't really that many like big losers, right? Even top tiers of last version, characters like Ram, characters like Happy Chaos, Kagura Yuki, they got better in some ways, or really not that nerfed in general, right? The main characters I think got worse this version would probably be a character like Leo. I think Leo might be the most nerfed character overall. I still think he's actually pretty good, to be honest. He's still a pretty strong character. Like minimum high tier, might still be somewhere in the top tier even. But with changes to like his sweep being more unsafe, being more whiff punishable, Oki off of it being worse, changes to his flash kick being slower, changes to some of his knockdowns like 214S not being a hard knockdown anymore. I think that makes him notably worse, but he's still pretty good. And then a character like Giovanna, I think also got a bit worse this patch due to them making her 214K. It can actually be low profiled a little bit easier by like 6Ps and Faust Crawl and stuff. Her sweep got worse. It's worse on block and worse on whiff now. Besides those two though, I can't really think of a character that got like particularly nerfed. You know, some characters got kind of maybe a couple nerfs here and a couple buffs there, and they ended up being kind of net neutral for the most part. For characters I think got a lot better though, there's a lot of them. First off, we can talk about Baiken. I think Baiken got a lot better this version. I did not think she was a very good character last version. Some people did. Some people thought she was like mid-tier, maybe even possibly high tier. I think those people were bugging. I think they were crazy, but she definitely got way better this patch in pretty much every conceivable way. Her neutral got better, her pressure got better, her defense got better. Her parry gives her Oki now. She has a 4-frame normal in her 5P. She has better conversions because of Tommy being bigger, so it's more consistent for her to be able to convert like 5P 6A to Tommy, which is great for her. Just tons of changes for her that just make her so much more consistent and reliable as a character, which those are the changes that you want to see if you play that character, right? Because you want your character to just work more often. So I think she's looking very strong. I don't know if she's top tier. I know some people are kind of tossing that around right now that she might be top tier this version. It's possible, but I'm not convinced yet. You know, we'll have to see how people develop matchups and whatnot. I think Jacko also got improved quite a lot this version. Kind of similar to Baiken, they made her a lot more consistent. And that's very scary for Jacko in particular, because something that Jacko always had, her offense is very, very strong. Her offense when she gets started, especially if she has meter to do the cheer super for her servant, that makes her such a threatening character once she gets in that position, and all of her changes pretty much make it easier for her to get there. Her 5K is better, her sweep is better, her minions are better, they have better projectile priority, and she starts the match with a full minion gauge, which is a crazy change to me. I thought like maybe she'd start with 1 or 2 bars. She just gets a full 3 bar minion gauge. I think she's looking very good. She's, again, I think at least high tier. She might end up being top tier or something, depending on how her matchups develop. She does still have some fundamental issues with the character, of course, which might ultimately hold her back. Overall, I think she's a character you definitely have to be very scared of. And then you have a character like Gold Lewis, who he's kind of funny because I feel like he really only got one big impactful change. Don't get me wrong, his Far Slash and his 6H did get buffed, and those buffs are pretty meaningful. The main change that he got was the buff to his drone. That move is so incredibly good at this point. That move has so much less recovery, it gives you a hard knockdown, it stays out even when he gets hit. It just really holds down the neutral for you. It's a great OV tool. It just lets him get opportunities to get in more, and that's literally all this character needs. His offense is so incredibly good. his damage output is so incredibly good that all he needs is to get in, and that change lets him get in more consistently. This character just doing something like blue burst, right? Like you hit him and he bursts you and he just sets out the drone. That's like almost a win condition at this point, because you just have to deal with that, and he's probably going to get in off of that. So there's at least one time per round that this character is guaranteed to get in, and that's all he needs. That's kind of how it feels right now. So I think he's going to be very good this season as well. Faust also got a lot better this version. He was basically not in the game as far as I was concerned last version. He was very bad. He got a lot of buffs. I don't think he's high tier or anything. I still think he's probably just kind of like a mid-tier character. I think he's all right now. The thing is, like, he got a lot of buffs, but he was so bad previously that, like, when you're going from bottom 1 and you get a lot of buffs, it still only means you're like pretty good, right? You're still not amazing. But he is definitely in the video game now. We have an extra character. He's finally not just a teaser on the character select screen. We can actually play him. He's in the game. So congratulations, Faust players, I guess. Now, in regards to characters I think might be, you know, top tier this version. And when I say top tier, I mean characters that might be in your like your top 5, top 7 range. Personally, I still think Ram is fantastically strong. She's one of the best characters. She's one of the best characters last season. She's one of the best characters on launch. She's just always been one of the best characters. They keep making her better for some reason. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not complaining, right? That's not my job. That's your guys' job. You're not doing a very good job, apparently, because they're not listening. I think she's one of the strongest characters. She got better this version, in my opinion. She's very good. Happy Chaos, I think, is also still top tier. He did get kind of reworked this version. The zoning is a bit worse, but it's still there, right? It's still an option. I think it's just more, you can't just win off of zoning, and it's more part of the process at this point. And to compensate for nerfing that, they gave him better offense. So I don't know why they did that, but he has better offense now. He has very good normals. His damage output is still very good. He still has the best conversions in the game, as far as I'm concerned. He converts better than any other character in the game, for sure. So I still think he's super strong. I think Nago is very strong, especially because some matchups that were hard for him previously, characters like Happy Chaos even, got easier for him to play. So I think he is still one of the absolute strongest characters, for sure. He just has so much health and so much damage output that, like, you can never really count him out, no matter how bad a matchup might be for him. Beyond those three are the ones that I'm positive they're top tier. Like, those 3 characters, I'm like pretty sure they're up there. Just to toss out some other names of characters I think are looking strong this version. Kai was a pretty strong character previously, and he got a lot of buffs this version. I think he's looking very strong. If you want just that all-around, do-everything type of character. His matchup spread, I think, in general, got a little bit better for him this version as well. Zato is a character that was always pretty good. He's just kind of volatile, I would say, right? He's kind of susceptible to just kind of losing sometimes, but sometimes he just wins, right? Either gets ran over or he runs you over. And that's still mostly true this version. It did give him some pretty nice buffs, and some of his matchups got changed around. I think overall he's kind of the same place he was previously, which is to say he's pretty good. I think characters like Baiken and Jacko could be up there, right? It's still a little early to say, but I think these 2 characters could definitely be in that talk of like your top 5, top 7. I think even a character like Leo could be up there as well. The only 3 that I'm super confident about are Ram, Nago, and Happy Chaos, though. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my Season 2 thoughts. I think the game is pretty fun right now. There's, again, a couple things I wish that would change. Maybe we'll change them in the future. I think my biggest wish at this point is that I just hope that the gap between now and whatever the next patch is that we get is not as long as it was last time. The gap between getting Season 2 and the last patch that we got, which was in October, was honestly way too long to go without getting a patch. So I'm hoping that we get an update maybe in like 3-ish months and they actually change some stuff around and address some issues that people have. Especially if we're going to be continuing to get DLC characters. Of course, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below. How are you feeling about Season 2? How do you feel about this patch for your character? Do you like it for them? Do you not like it for them? Let me know down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, of course, please consider liking the video and subscribing. It really helps me out. And also, if you would like to come watch me try to figure out Season 2, because I'm still trying to figure out all these wacky matchups. I do stream over on Twitch, 5 or 6 days a week. Pretty much do it full time at this point. You can find a link to that down in the description below. Would love to have you. You can come ask questions if you want to. You can come hang out with the chat, which is on the screen right now. Say hi, chat. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.